Let's watch some of the Terrence Howard shit, right? Let's let him spit for a minute.
That I had been someplace else before. Now, what's interesting, that voice that I heard, that's my voice now. So it was like my greater self was leading me through and periodically would show up again in other dreams. And I went off and became an actor because my mother wanted my little brother to be an actor. And I thought if I became an actor, I would get my mother's affection. It wasn't until my mother was dying and I'm talking to her. And she told me the reason that she was babying Antonio was because he had asthma. And my father always had questioned whether it was his son or not because he looked so much like her family and didn't look so much like him. And I realized, my God, if I had followed my proper course, I could have saved my mother because the knowledge that I had, I had the grand unified field equation. I had already put that together. And at 7, 8, I was working with these things. And then I went through all of the hell that I had to go through. Being accused of domestic violence, all of those things. And I thought it was a curse at the time, but it was really removing me from advancing down the wrong path. And during that period of time, I started waking up in my dreams again. And I started going back into that palace. And I remembered all of these things and I started patenting them. As I moved along, I got in touch with...
What? How did what come out? The Book of Aquarius? The 2040 Phoenix Cataclysm is fulfilled. Dude, whatever this is sounds exactly like what they're trying to do. They're trying to do something cataclysmic. Elite, what the fuck, dude? Where's this? This is from the Wayback Machine. Planned apocalypse is fulfillment of 33 degree of Freemasonry. Awesome. Elitist censorship is the reason you know nothing about the Phoenix. In May 2040, the Phoenix weapon will perform what it was designed to do: depopulate the world through a series of catastrophic measures. Ancient protocols that have been executed against humanity several times in the past 63 centuries. The research has been conducted and it is irrefutable. Like so many civilizations before, our cities will be destroyed, topography drastically changed, disease will kill what starvation does not. Our calendars will suffer the same fate as their predecessors, a return to year zero. So much free information is offered in Nephilim archives that you have no excuse for not knowing these things. Here is provided for you a pictorial synopsis of the Phoenix history. These ancient secrets are known by a few. The devastation will be so complete that the world archives will be forced to start over without an infrastructure. Survival of the fittest will be the norm, and pockets of survivors will be clannish and violent. Within 50 years, literacy will be lost. Dude, this is such bullshit. No, fuck this. Fuck these rich people. Fuck these elites. These lizard freaks. No, we're not doing this. We're going to do Dunkirk before we allowed them to do this. Yeah. Dude, this makes so much more sense. All over the world have been found artifacts of a pre-archaic advanced civilization, not aliens, humans. Their civilization was abruptly ended by the Phoenix weapon in 4309 BC, about 6,055 years ago. At this time in history, the skies were obscured by a thick vapor canopy by day that hid the sun but magnified the heavens at night. Dude, what? 15 centuries later, the descendants of those survivors were again at a high level of achievement. From this period, we find the technolithic laser precision monuments of Puma Punka and the Great Pyramid of Giza, the most misunderstood and censored archaeological subject ever. The interior measurements of the pyramid contains rectilinear distances of all made by Sir Flinders Petrie. His measurements are endorsed by the scientific community and Egyptologists. Every distance of measurement here is divisible by 138. The exact distance and time Phoenix travels in years between visitations. Dude, who's this Phoenix? Dude, screw this. You can't even, and like the internet is so dead that, I don't know. Dude, how are we gonna fucking how are we gonna stop these rats? These people are demons. Yeah, dude, that feels like what they're doing. They know what they're doing is bad. Like, I've been racking my brain for, dude, since I was a kid. I remember getting one of those happenings magazines and being like, we're all going to die from oil and gas consumption in about 30 years unless we do something about it. And then 30 years pass and you're like, okay, what are we doing? And they're just like, no, we're going to keep doing this. Yeah, we almost got Antarctica melted. Like, these assholes, I don't know. They want to play God. They think they're gods. These big-eared, freaking big-ass incest babies think that they're gods. Prince Charles, King Charles, thinks he's a god. All these people think they're gods. But they bleed just like the rest of us. I fucking promise you that. Promise you that.
Michael Hudak, he was the president of the University of Science and Philosophy, because I was studying a guy named John Keeley, who had worked with frequency back in the 1870s, had built the first what do they call it, self-sustaining engine, back in 1872, but he wouldn't tell people how he built it. And I was watching a program with Del Pons, and somebody in the audience said, doesn't John Keeley's work remind you a lot of Walter Russell? And a bell went on. And so I got in touch.
Dude, yeah, what the fuck is up with Wisconsin and all these Nazis? Dude, that is where all the Nazis went, isn't it? Dude, this makes so much sense. Oh my God. I was surrounded by them. That's why I fucking hate them so much. Until I moved to New York. Dude, it's just Nancy's everywhere. They made would have required an antenna covering 2/5 of this state of Wisconsin. Scaled down system. What does this do? Calm Lake Facility, which served as the test site and was originally called the Wisconsin Test Facility, consisted of two 14-mile transmission line antennas called ground dipoles in the shape of a cross. Dude, is that what they have down underneath the Bouvet Island? That's an antenna, isn't it? Scaled down system was not designed to survive a nuclear attack. Dude.
To the University of Science and Philosophy after watching some stuff about Walter Russell and Michael Hudak.
Yeah, dude.
Took me on.
Everyone in Wisconsin is fucking German. Oh my God. Yeah, so they're part of it too. They're part of the Mormon thing. They're gonna frickin' blow the coasts up, vaporize the coasts, and then live in their little perfect hamlets in Missouri and Wisconsin. But that's where all the fresh water is, I guess, right? Aren't they? They're like raising all of the oceans, so you're gonna run out of water.
His wing and started talking to me, but he was more into the philosophy and the love that Walter was talking about. But my intention was to rebuild the periodic table, build a new periodic table, because the stuff I had learned in college, I went to school for chemical engineering the first year over at Pratt. And they, at the time, I think it was like 108 elements. And I told the teacher, the professor, about the relationship between hydrogen on the spectrometer and carbon and silicon and cobalt. And I was like, it's the same exact color, same tone, just doubled in each octave. And he was like, no, each element is the same element and it will always be that element. And I was like, you don't see the relationship. So I left school and I was going to spend 40 years rebuilding the periodic table. And I found out that Walter Russell had already did that. And he did it based upon the natural curvature of everything.
And when you say rebuild the periodic table, what do you mean specifically?
Well, the way the periodic table is laid out, the periodic table they have now,
Let's see.
It looks like a box.
Image of it.
It looks like a straight box.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't show the relationship that between every element, between every...
Yeah, dude. Germans are the largest immigrant. Like, what? This whole thing, like... them coming here in the 1800s, them coming here after World War II, all this shit is part of the same thing. Like, they just think that, like, they get to turn America into a white Zionist nation? Is that what their plan has been? Like, Bill Gates is buying up a checkerboard of every plot of land of America to do squatters' rights, which is exactly what Eric O'Ryan said that these motherfuckers are gonna do. Like, yeah, we're in a German incest families a coup takeover. We're in the middle of it. We're on the back end of it, actually. They've been doing this for hundreds of years. For what? Like, dude, I don't get it. The only reason that we all can't live together is because there's a couple people who decide that they get to hoard everything. There's plenty for all of us. I don't get it. Like,
There's two
All right, here's the periodic table.
You'll see hydrogen sitting all the way over there by itself, but they don't show that hydrogen has the same tone as carbon.
What do you mean by tone?
Same tone, same key of E. Same key of E. 40.5 hertz. The next one would be like 81 hertz. You go to silicon, it will double up and would be 162 hertz. You'll go to cobalt and it'll be 324 hertz. It's, in that base, if you were to take the angles of incidence or the tones that they create, their color. Like you can turn color back into sound based upon, it's the same wavelength, it's just twice as long or much longer. So all you have to do is keep dividing light by.
and you guys know that that's the same thing with music, right? That's what when I took physics in college, I recognized that all of this was, I was like, this is like music. An octave is, when you go up an octave, you're just shortening the length by half. So, you're plucking a string like this and it goes bum, and you make it half and it goes I can't go up an octave from that. I should have gone lower, but you know what I mean? Like, all of this shit is the same exact thing. And I even noticed that with physics and stuff too. I was like, what the fuck is all this? Why is it over here? Like, this feels weird and confusing. And Terrence is right about this stuff.
2.
Keep that up, Jimmy.
You keep dividing light by 2, and you'll ultimately get back to the audible sound of it, because there was a relationship between light and color, sound and tone, matter and shape. I put, I sent over Walter Russell's.
I was trying to get to that. That's what.
Yeah, it's Walter Russell's periodic table that he put together. Now you compare that to what Mendeleev's periodic table. You'll compare Walter Russell's to it, and you'll see something completely different. It's unwinding.
Because I like the background. I've been wondering, like, the before stuff, more. Because we have, like, 1940s, but I don't know anything about, like, the 1910s and these people, so. But I'll read along some more in a couple minutes. I just need to take a break from reading for a second.
Whoa.
It's unwinding. And you see there's a relationship that hydrogen.
So you had figured this out at a young age?
I had already seen this. This was all inside of that palace. I had access to it, and I knew the relationship.
So you saw this in dreams?
I saw it as a circle. Everything was a full circle laid out, and each area was just expanding, like wrapping a rag around your hand. The first wrap, it's so tight. The very first wrap is so tight. That's the first one that Walter Russell did, yeah. But go back to the wiggly one.
The wiggly
This is
one.
how I saw it more so, but as a vortex. But you'll see there's a relationship between hydrogen, carbon, silicon, cobalt, rhodium. They're all bonded. They're all sit as the middle point between two noble gases. So
Dude,
those things.
And them calling it the octave, is this from Walter Russell? Like, dude, think of that. Look at that. That is like that is like how octaves work. It's like doubled and doubled and doubled. This is a way better way to, like, this makes sense to me.
Don't really.
The periodic tables, like, you go, everything on this right column is noble gas, and then it, whatever. The stupid periodic table doesn't make any sense. This would make sense. And look, it looks like a snake, and there's a lot of snake symbology going on, guys.
Exists. It's only one substance. Now, the problem is the first thing that we're able to perceive is hydrogen. That's the first visible element, because before it is too dense for us to perceive it. You understand what I'm saying?
Okay.
But as you reach into the next octave, the carbon octave, and they call that the a bisexual tone because the carbon has two tones to it. It has a negative side and a positive side. The part where lithium behaves, lithium is contractive. Beryllium is contractive. Boron is contractive. But the moment you get to carbon, you balance it out. It gets to a perfect balance.
No, Ruby, no one's monopolizing the stream. You're good. I read through everything. I try and keep it, mix up. I try not to let anyone dominate too much, but I want you guys to share what you want to share and stuff. I jump to what I can, and and I always open up your links and look and see if I can try and hop into them. So don't feel like obligated not to jump in. But I want to know all of the stuff. I'm gonna go back to that in a minute. When I read for like 30 minutes, my mouth starts getting dumb, and I just need to take a 5-minute break, and then I'll hop back into it. But no, you say whatever you want, as long as it's not mean. As long as everyone's being chill, you all can say whatever you want. You're not gonna monopolize this. Believe me, if I don't want to do what you're telling me to do, I won't do it.
-4, so it's a double tone.
If there's anyone in the world who will ignore things he doesn't want to do, at least here in his happy place, he will. But I want you guys to share whatever you want to share. Truly, you guys helped me put together way more of the pieces than I would alone. I feel like I could do this all by myself, but it would take me 5 more years. But I feel like when we're able to hop around, you guys show me what you know, give me a hint, dude, the fucking... I still can't believe that the Francis thing is where all that, the Irwin Francis, and the ships come in for you, Francis. That's so awesome, right? We're all teaming together. Even AI, dude. It's cool. So don't I'm not asking you to be quiet.
Then nitrogen is -3.1.
Feo sends stuff often, pretty often too, and he's always sharing stuff that I didn't know before. So you guys share what you know, and I'll show you what I know, and then we'll just keep doing that. It's fun. It's perfect.
-3, oxygen is -2, fluorine is -1. Now the balance of this, all of those are mates. Fluorine and lithium naturally mate.
Oh, but let me just read what you said real quick, and then we'll hop back into it after I let Terrence spit for a few more minutes. I'm not trying to monopolize your stream, but you said Union Sulfur, so I have to jump in. So when they had the oil boom, there was a horrible tragedy in 1937. It was called the New London School Explosion. I have a distant cousin that was killed. Wait, a cousin that was killing it the same day that it had. Wait. I have a distant cousin that was killed the same day that it happened? Is that what you mean? Schmittler sent his condolences via telegram, and I am finding link after link and connection after connection to Union Sulfur, to Samuel Bush, to all of them, and I'm kind of freaking out. The reason I believe Union... Dude! Yeah, Union Sulfur. Wait, did you not hear about that till I just read that from this thing that you sent, or you found this recently? And you're saying that you have a relative who was killed on the same day as that thing, and maybe they were killed and you didn't know that it was part of this school explosion? Is that what you're saying? Dude, who Alexis is like, I think maybe my dad had something to do with the 96 Atlanta thing. She's like, this is crazy. All of the cabins and stuff that these people were hiding at were the cabins around my house. And my dad used the name of one of the guys one time. There are no more coincidences, guys. If you think this has something to do with your family, it probably does. If George W. Bush killed one of your family members, I think that you deserve a huge settlement from George W. Bush right now. He should sell that Epstein painting he did for a couple million, and then you should get the cash for it. Oh, you said, okay, so Oh, you think Terrence might be an industry plant? Ooh. I mean, what do we know about the Joe Rogan show? That's where the industry plants go. But yeah, so it's like anyone. We just got to listen to the stuff that he's saying and hear if he's trying to do any trickaroos on us. No, I've been researching it for a while, but it's the reason the sulfur is important is because after this explosion, they added gas authorization with sulfur. And so everyone that was in the sulfur business got super wealthy because they happened to add a sulfur tax before this thing happened. They passed a lot of legislation 2 weeks later, and the whole country had to add sulfur to gas. Oh my God. Nobody wants any type of settlement. The judge said it was an act of God. Yeah, an act of the OSS gods, an act of the CIA Nancy gods. Oh, brother.
You have lithium bonded with any other element. The moment that fluorine is introduced, it will break all bonds violently so it can bond with fluorine. Same thing with beryllium and oxygen. That's why it said, and what they've tried to keep from us, if you want to break water into its component parts of hydrogen and oxygen, all you have to do is introduce beryllium or the sound of beryllium. And oxygen will violently break away from any other thing, even hydrogen, to bond with that beryllium. And now you can have, with the frequency of it, and since the hydrogen is smaller, hydrogen will, that waveform, you can send that up into one tube, the oxygen into another tube, without using electrolysis, without using heat. It was just through frequency, and the proof of it, if you go back up just a little bit higher, we know the relationship between sodium and chlorine. They're equal and opposite mates. If you get out of the pool and you got chlorine and you're itching from the chlorine, all you have to do is get some real salt and rub that on your skin, and it'll turn right into an oil. It naturally neutralizes each other. So everything has an equal and opposite mate. The lithium becomes sodium in the next octave, doubles the same exact tone, just doubled and wider. The sodium becomes potassium in the next octave, widens up. The reason that arsenic kills us is because our DNA has nitrogen and it has phosphorus in it, because nitrogen unwinds into the next octave right after silicon and becomes phosphorus. Our DNA has both of those in there, but it's going by tone. So the moment arsenic, which sits as a -3 on the next octave, the moment arsenic is introduced, the body thinks that, oh, this is my thing that I need. And it tries to wrap itself around the arsenic, but it causes the DNA to unravel because it's 4 times as large as that nitrogen was. And those other little elements, titanium, vanadium, chromium, manganese, and iron, all of those aren't true elements. Those are.
Yeah, dude, no. And Hitler sent his condolences, so you know it's sus AF. Bro, yes. That's what I'm saying. Though this whole thing has just been us truly just looking at vibes like, people don't act like this. Wait, people don't fucking do this kind of stuff and then say those kind of things. Like, people don't go to the moon and then sit in front of the audience who wants to ask him about going to the moon like this. Have you ever known anyone to go to the moon and be like pissed about it? Like, dude, I think the vibes and just like human behavior is enough at this point to just base everything off of. Peter's starting the what is it called? The Phoenix 2024 storm, the 3-day storm. 3 days of night, guys. Get ready. Hope you have your frickin' lanterns. It's all Peter Thiel's fault.
Isotopes. Those things,
That's why I had all these newspaper clippings about Prescott Bush ready to go when I first discovered you, so I know I looked like a Fed, but that's the backstory. I've been researching this like nonstop for months now. Dude, this is great, Terrence, for
first 3
60 seconds.
Are the full tones. They make full spheres. But now it becomes elliptical with titanium, vanadium, and chromium. And on the other side, it's like when, like I said, if you wrap the rag around your hand, the first wrap, really tight. You can't get much out of it. Second wrap, you damn near can't see the difference of it. Third one, you start seeing hydrogen. The fourth wrap, you see carbon. I need a piece of paper or a rag, and I can show you that twist. But in between each one of them, by the time you get, nature does not allow us in the silicone octave for there to expand out. But there is the same titanium, vanadium, chromium, magnesia, and iron that exists between aluminum and silicone. But nature doesn't allow us to unravel that. But now, with the wave conjugations, we can. We couldn't do that before because we didn't know the angles of incidence that were necessary to open these things up. And you couldn't do that with the platonic solids because the platonic solids...
Dude, and maybe Axel too, like, there is something about Terrence that, I mean, I said it last time, I was like, there's something that irks me about him. Maybe it is that. Maybe I'm hoping that it's just because I hate Lucius Lyon and I think he's a rat, and I'm just putting unfairly his character on him. But I don't know, Axel, like, he's on the Joe Rogan show. I don't really like being here on the Joe Rogan, showing the Joe Rogan show. So what if you're right? What if he's, because dude, here's what I really think is the thing. I think that there's something there. We know that they've been lying to us about everything. I think that there's one thing that they really, really don't want us to know about, right? And I'm not sure if we found that one thing. So maybe it could be that he's here to keep us from knowing that one thing. I hope not. I hope not. But hey, we got run off of every app. We've got to be kind of sus of everyone until they prove 100% that they are not sussy. So I don't feel bad about it. But dude, and I'm trying to say, trust your gut, right? Like, I don't want to be unfair to Terrence here, but there's something that kind of gives me a, like, he's not telling everything. Like, and dude, that's what I feel like they've done. Like, all the physics that we know now and stuff, I feel like they gave us some of the truth, but not enough for us to, like, figure out how powerful we are and use that, you know? Like, I don't understand the wave refraction, pebble dropped in a lake, you know, wave thing, but I know that I can understand it, and I know that even though I don't really quite understand it fully yet, I know that that is more the truth than all the shit that we've been told previously, right? So I do think that and this is how they would do it. They would give you a new, you know, another person that, oh, listen to this person. Because, you know, no one listens to Ben Shapiro. No one listens to those people because everyone can tell that they're freaking liars, you know? So, I don't know. I'm just saying, we just got to be suspicious. I hope not. I hope, Terrence, you're not hiding anything from us. I really don't want to think that, but we do got to think that because everyone so far in our lives has been a fucking liar. So, everyone's going to be treated like a liar till you're proven to not be a liar, okay?
We're averages, an approximation.
But this still feels closer than most of the truth that we get. This feels way better. But I feel like there's something that is not being spoken about. But he does go into the Saturn hexagon and stuff, like, so I don't know. I really don't want to. I don't like being suspicious of everyone, but we kind of have to.
They, like I've said a number.
You have to be suspicious of everyone that you see on a screen, especially if it's coming from the Joe Rogan Experience. Dude, right before this, he probably had 3 IDF agents, and then right after that, 3 CIA agents. Like,
of times, you show me a real straight line in nature. If everything in the universe, everything is expressed in...
Is this when he's going to bring up the Saturn? Dude, that's the thing that killed me with I didn't know about the hexagon of Saturn until, like, what, a month ago? Dude, when I saw that straight line, those 6 straight lines, I was like, that is not nature. It's not. That's how you know, man. Like, nature's wild. Nature does what it does. Straight lines is not one of those things.
All motion expressed in waves. All waves were curved. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So the greater the action, the greater the reaction. The greater the reaction, the greater the resistance. The greater the resistance, the greater the curvature. because the universe is based off of equanimity, which Einstein left out in his theory of relativity. The balancing side of the gravity was caused by electric force. Electricity is always seeking a higher pressure condition. It spins northeast, is trying to get to the center of an area, the center of a cone. But the next electric wave is coming, so it gets pushed out, and as it's pushed out, it gets to the vortices. And that's on those pieces, those vortices. Now, instead of it spinning northeasternly, centripetally, it's forced to spin centrifugally, and it spins southwesternly. And it expands itself out, it decays, it keeps decaying until you get 4 magnetic waves that hit each other at 120-degree angles. At that point, they reconvert back into the electric field, and then they make their way back to their source again, whether it's the star, whatever star it came into. What happens when we get older?
Oh, Feo.
We expand.
Wait, Feo's here. Yeah, Feo. Guess what? I watched the first 2 episodes of Dark Matter. Yeah, dude, that show rocks. We were gonna watch more of it last night, but I got too sleepy. We sat out in the sun all day, and freaking, I got tie. But then, dude, I had a really weird sleep last. I barely slept. It felt really weird. And dude, I cannot stop thinking and dreaming about the blob thing. I don't usually dream that much, but I kept waking up in terror frights, startled, thinking about this fucking blob, dude, and the screaming dolphins, dude. And I was reading through all the comments, and everyone, there's so many people who are like, I can't stop dreaming about this black wall of a storm that is it's dude, it's literally like Take Shelter. Have you ever seen Take Shelter? That, what is it, Jeff Nichols movie? Oh my god. And what's his name? Michael Shannon. It's so good. It's about a guy who gets this he can't describe it, but he's like, I have to build a fucking shelter in my backyard. Something's coming, and I need to protect my family. And dude, everyone's like, you're crazy, you're nuts, you're psychotic, just stop. You need to go get therapy, seek help. And he keeps having these fucking dreams, dude. And then the end of the movie is incredible. You guys gotta watch it. But maybe these visions and stuff are real. You know? Why not? If all of the psychic and all of the spiritual sides of shit are the same as this fake reality holographic thing or whatever that's going on, dude, dreams and stuff are probably warnings. It's our intuition telling us what's coming. So I don't know. I'm living my Take Shelter Michael Shannon life. I'm unapologetic at this point. I know these people are doing bad stuff, and I don't want any of my family or my friends or any innocent people who are not fucking wrapped up in this Nancy shit. I don't want anyone to get hurt, and I don't care what people say about me anymore, because dude, I can't help but feel that something is coming. These people are doing something, and I've never felt like this before. I've never we have to start trusting our guts. We aren't all feeling like this separately. It's not all individual. This is something. We all need to start trusting it. We need to start trusting each other and listening to each other. But yeah, everyone on the videos about Bouvet Island are just I can't stop thinking about this black storm, other stuff like that. Seeing swirling eyes of hurricanes from above. I don't know. All these people are not imagining this shit, and we look at what we've been stumbling on. Maybe they did Katrina. Dude, of course they did. That makes so much sense now. They're gonna do Katrina to New York. But I don't know, man. We gotta keep trusting in ourselves.
And that
I really think that something bad, they're gonna try and do something. It's how they do stuff all the time. That's how they keep their machine working, right?
Right. we get shorter at the top. Why? Because the electric force is pushing in and condensing, and the magnetism expands out at the equator. The electron field, the electrons, that's just discharged electricity, devitalized electricity, coming from the sun, coming from the earth.
Ooh, has anyone seen the Hurricane Katrina girl? Is that the girl that we watched the other day? The girl that we were watching when the fucking black helicopter came? I like her. If she doesn't feel federal, she feels like a real. She feels feral. Send me that link. I want to see that video. Cuz I would love, she's doing a database of all the atrocities that occurred to like all of the people in Katrina, like all the different stories. Cuz dude, they were left there. Dude, Kanye West was so right when he said George W. Bush hates black people. That was the best thing that Kanye has ever said, and it was so true. And literally, dude, they just let them die. And you know what? When you realize that the Red Cross is completely run by the Rothschilds, it makes sense. It makes sense why they would just abandon people in a majority black neighborhood for, what was it? It was weeks, right? They're fucking psychos. Hey, Red Cross, have the people of Lahaina gotten back to their homes yet? I'm just wondering. Red Cross, hey, are you guys are helping them rebuild? It wasn't good for business. Oh. Which business, though? Whose business? It wasn't good for a lot of businesses, but it was good for that Red Cross stealing people's land business.
It's the waste product from it, but it hits our magnetic field, and then it gets pulled right back in and gets compressed again, and now it becomes electricity for the earth, and then it pushes itself right back out again at the equator. The equator is 5 miles wider than the poles. Electricity, Einstein left that out of his equation because he coupled electricity and magnetism together and didn't realize that electricity was the equal and opposite of magnetism. Electricity being the contractive field, you breathe in, that's a contractive thing. You breathe out, that's a magnetic thing, a radiative thing. But they use the term magnet as an attractor, but to magnify something means to what? Make it larger, increase the space. That's the work of radiation. That's what Walter Russell was talking about all those years. That's the work of radiation. It's the electricity between the things that pull them together. The Coulomb force that supposedly opposites attract and push each other away. If that was true, then hot air and cold air would seek each other out. They're the same substance, but just but in a different state. One is, they move in opposite directions from each other. Hot water and cold water move in opposite directions from each other. The reason two magnets seem like the North Pole is attracted to the South Pole, because if you had two rivers or two hoses with water coming out of them, and you pointed them at each other, what are they going to do? They're going to be pushing against each other. But they align to where the male enters the female and is able to come out. So they've been fooled by their senses. They've been fooled by their eyes and have missed the whole picture of it. Are you familiar with Khalil Gibran?
Yes.
The Prophet, 1923.
Let's skip ahead to
wrote another book called Sand. If you could possibly pull that up, Jamie.
What was that .com again?
TCOTLC.com.
Majority of cop killings last year were from traffic stops. Aren't they always? Yeah. Like, they shouldn't be able to do traffic stops anymore. They shouldn't be, they should not exist, period, honestly. Cops should not exist. They do nothing but damage.
In there, the mistake that they made because they believed in straight lines, because the church was promoting the idea of straight lines. Yeah, just tap on right below there. There's, download. No, just go to the center of the page. And right above that, and you see initial public draft, just tap on it. 5 Platonic solids. Now all of our axioms, all of our postulates have been built off of these things. This is what Euclid went down to Egypt and pulled these things together. Pythagoras worked on them. And these were the undisputed fundamentals of God that he used to build. If you tap onto the Flower of Life, Platonic Solids things, it's going to take you to a video. Turn it, don't have to tap it. But it'll show you the Flower of Life. that they took this from. But you'll see that instead of following the natural curvature of these 64 circles overlapping, they averaged the space where they met. And they invented straight lines.
Why did they do that?
Because they believed that the world was flat. They believed the world was flat at the time.
Do you see our
And
cube?
the church promoted.
Our black cube in the flower of life?
Pythagorean theorem comes off of this cube, a squared plus b squared equals c squared.
So they wanted to use all of these intertwining circles and create straight lines.
Because that's how they thought everything came down to, straight lines. They thought the world was flat. And I was like, oh my goodness. They didn't open the flower properly. So the next one would be the icosahedron.
Now, the flower of life, it's very, very old. The concept is very old. What was the origin of the concept?
It's the oldest symbol known to mankind. It's believed that it was Anki, the brother of Enlil, if you go by the Emerald
Sumerian
tablets,
text.
the Sumerian text, that was the one that created mankind. Because if you look at mankind, and there's a point I want to make with it. I want you to...
Have you guys ever read Snow Crash? Snow Crash gets into, like, dude, Snow Crash is such a cool book. They basically, the guy who wrote it, Stephen, I can't, why am I blanking? I think it's Stephen, whatever, I'll think of it in a second. But it's about, like, basically, like, living in a or, like, having, like, a simulation world, like a VR world that and this kid hero, he is like a katana wielding freaking samurai, digital samurai. And he, in his like VR world, people start getting like turned into like kind of like MK Ultra victims by getting like flashed a card in front of their face that's like a QR code essentially, I think. And it somehow gets into this, basically that humans are programmable, and it's because we're like, because like the Sumerians who made us or whatever were like AI or something, and they created us and put this like, we're like part computer or some shit in our body. And but yeah, Snow Crash is awesome. He like is it Neil or Steven? Neil Stevenson? No, that's wrong. Steven? Fucking, I'm never going to think of it. I'll think of it. I'm not looking it up. Neil
Stay on the book.
Stevenson. I think it's Neil Stevenson. We'll see.
Go back to go to 134 on the book. And this is what that other gentleman being told me to do. He said, why don't you just take the pieces that make up the flower and put them together based on universal ratios. So once you're able to pull it up.
164.
Page 134. 134 in the book. So this is the juxtapose of the mistake they made. Yep, just tap right onto that. Yep, just tap on it. Now, this was made by David Johnson, one of our programmers, Argos Fuel. So if you go to the far left and tap on that, I took 4 of those triangles. And wow. And you can scroll around. This is what happens when 4 bubbles meet. This is the negative space where they can't touch each other. This is hydrogen. And as I was saying, electricity is always trying to get to the center of that triangle, but it gets pushed out. And now you see it has 4 contractive poles, which is the electric poles. Just go around it from like horizontally, yeah. It has 4 contractive poles because electricity is seeking a higher pressure condition and forcing it in, where magnetism is seeking a lower pressure condition and spun out. So the vortices, those tips, that's the magnetic field. That's where they begin. But it has an equal attractor and an equal amount of repulsion. So if you go to what happens when 8 bubbles meet, they gave me the patents to that. I called that the tetrahedron. This is
So this is the negative space in between 8 bubbles.
8 bubbles. This is a negative space where 8 bubbles meet, and you
Dude,
can
cool.
scroll around.
And this is ignored when they're concentrating on straight lines.
Completely, because this, if you look from the top, I haven't violated anything. It fits perfectly inside of there. But this is the negative space where 8 bubbles meet, but you'll notice it has 8 contractive poles, but it only has 6 magnetic poles, 6 vortices, so it has a greater electrical potential than a repulsion. So maybe this is the strong nuclear force, and the previous one was the weak nuclear force. So I was like, okay. I called this the Huntian after my son. So I was like, what happens when 6 bubbles meet? If you'll go to the one right in the center. Now you see that it has these huge bubbles, fast moving, but there's 6 strong spheres that's going around this, but the greater attractor has grabbed the 2 weaker attractors. And this looks just like a photon, and guess what? It has 30 poles. What is the speed of light? 299,752,400 something. They rounded off to 300 million kilometers per second squared. But if you look at it from the top, you'll see that I haven't violated anything. This looks like what happens in nature. So I was like, okay, so they gave me the patents to this, but you'll see that there's 6 unaccounted electrical poles to it. So I was like, what happens when 12 bubbles meet if you go to the one right next to it? Another stable structure that we basically see in nature, but there's 4 unaccounted electrical poles to it. 4 spin around it. You can count those 4. You'll see 1 at the bottom and 3 on those sides. This is the basis of crystallization, the laws of crystallization that forms. And you can go to the last one. I was like, what happens when 24 bubbles meet?
Yo.
This is the negative space. If you pull to a horizontal on it, this is a negative space where 24 bubbles meet. This is where you cannot distinguish this from the background because all of the electrical potential has been accounted for. This would be the Bose-Einstein condensate, where something becomes indistinguishable from the fabric of space itself, the final state of matter. And the proof of this, the Platonic solids, they have a thing called discrete symmetry. You can put the cubes together, maybe you can put the dodecahedrons together, but you can't put all of them together. But you can take the wave conjugations right here, and they form supersymmetrical systems where everything aligns. So there's a site that James sent over to you. And this will be the final thing, and then I'll be quiet for a second. But because this is the final, this right here. Now these are other sculptures I've built. There's a video, and you'll see that flower. If you'll pop it up from Terry's Linchpins that he sent you, you'll see, and this is one of 4 supersymmetrical systems that I patented. And the reason I patented it was because when Walter Russell put his stuff up, you have to just go down a little bit, and we're going to get to gravity. Not that one. We're going to get to gravity in a second. Not that one. We're not even there yet. There, Tetratarian wave conjugations. Now, these are all of those systems put together. This is where 12 bubbles meet, the Aubrians. Mm-hmm. And then I put 5 of them together, and they make these natural starfish. But then when I put 10 of them together, they lay themselves out, and they predict all distribution of matter within the electric field. And you can see where 6 bubbles meet as you get to a higher point on it. Those where 6 bubbles are meeting, still fitting perfectly where the 12 bubbles are meeting and where the 4 and where the 8. That's a super symmetrical system. I put 12, if I put 20 of those where 6 bubbles meet, the Antonians, they make a natural dodecahedron that's naturally curved. If I take where the 12 bubbles meet, that's where I made the linchpin from. Ultimately from some of those pieces you got right there, that all shape of it. So that was one of the first things. But when Walter Russell came out with his book, and he introduced his periodic table. He watched as different people went up and collected Nobel Prizes for deuterium, for tritium, for all these things that he had discovered. And I was like, okay, let me wait until the patents are granted before I'll talk about it, so that they won't be able to stop it. But what makes more sense? Where they invented straight lines in opening the flower, or where you actually take the individual pieces of the flower and put it together based on universal ratios? Which one do you think is how the givers of that knowledge intended for us to use it?
Well, it makes sense because you're accounting for the negative space and the straight lines are not.
Bingo.
Yeah, that it must be something. And so, and then these are all physical representations that you've created
Yep.
that are all of those things.
Same things. That's the Aubryon right there.
How is this received? Like when you talk to people about this?
Oh man, they first, because I didn't show them, I hadn't shown them, I introduced it with, let's talk about our fundamentals are a little bit off. There are no straight lines.
Right.
So I reached out to Neil deGrasse Tyson. I saw him at an event up front, at Fox. And he was like, hey man, yeah, I'd love for you to come on my show, do my radio, do my TV thing. I would love.
He's like, but I'm a Fed, and I'm here to sow disinformation into the fabric of space-time instead of the truth. Neil deGrasse Tyson's like, I work for the lizard people in the moon. You should probably not tell me whatever you're going to do because I'm going to get you killed.
Of that, I was like, yeah, but I've got something I want to introduce to you. And it was only 36 pages. It was a treatise. And I told him it was controversial, and I sent him over the 36-page thing that had the wave conjugations in it, but I started it off with 1 × 1 = 2. And he went in on my treatise, wrote, redlined everything. He attacked that I had talked about Walter Russell and Victor Schauberger and John Keeley and Tesla as the people that I looked up to. Mm-hmm. He attacked them, but then he started attacking, the 1 × 1 = 2.
How did he attack them?
Oh, he was because I asked him. I said, under what conditions? I said it's illogical where the square root of a number added to itself will equal more than that number squared. But that's what happens with the square root of 2. That's what happens with most of the numbers. I was like, how is it that multiplication, if it means to make more and increase in number, how is 1 × 1 = 1 part of the multiplication table? Now, I understand that if you're seeing it one time,
right,
but we call that once. But the moment that you add the times in there, that multiplicative indicator, that means there's more than 1.
Dude, see, look at this. This is like...
So now each equation is supposed to be balanced. That equal sign is supposed to show that there's a balance between these 2 numbers over here and a balance on this one over here. What happened to the other one in this equation? It didn't equate. And then I took the square root of that number. I took the square root of 2. Because all this started in 3rd grade. I was arguing with my teacher because we're talking about the square root of 100. Oh, my God.
Is that your phone?
Yeah, that's my detox thing. I'm supposed to detox right now.
How do you detox?
He had a wife, and he had his mistresses. He ended up dying with one of his girlfriend and his wife, off in his little place. But he spoke the truth. He was honest. Life is about the give and take. There's a balance in there,
To be human is to be flawed.
It's to be beautiful.
Yeah, it's part of the beauty of us. And it's part of why we create. I don't think you create from a perfect place of enlightenment. I think part of the chaos of being a human being is the beauty of the creation. It's why we create. The most fucked up people, the best artists are some of the most fucked up people. My favorite musicians, my favorite comedians, my favorite actors.
Yep.
Almost all of them are fucked up.
Yeah, my uncle used to call it, he said, if you don't get any flower to grow unless you throw some shit on it.
So back to Neil deGrasse Tyson and his critique of Tesla.
So he threw shit on he was like, well, Tesla stuff worked, but Tesla was never really respected and out there. And I guess he wanted me to support Bohr or Schringer or Feynman or any of those people. And I'm looking at the Feynman diagrams. I'm like, you made all these things up. You're basically doing the Mr. Spock thing. If you want to find the answer to something, then you cancel out all the possibilities, all other possibilities, and you root it down to one thing. So that means going through the whole universe to answer one question. And that's the problem with probability. That's the problem with Heisenberg uncertainty. That's the problem with Schrodinger. All of those were just these probabilities because they had taken the ether out. They forgot the electromagnetic wave. Mm-hmm. It had to have a medium in which it followed on. It had to have something in which it was moving on.
They don't exist in isolation.
No, they do not. And it cannot be the cause of its own action. An effect can never be the cause of the action. The chicken cannot the egg cannot come before the chicken. The chicken has to be there first in order to lay it. It has to mate. And what Einstein left out was the equal and opposite of magnetism. So back to Neil deGrasse, when he wrote his response to my paper, and he said, if you have any other questions, you're going to have to see somebody else, and he wouldn't take my calls anymore. I was like, okay. So I wrote the book based off of those responses, and I reached out to another guy, Dr. David Tong.
But that would be very, very interesting that would be his take as a public educator, that he wouldn't want to talk to you anymore.
Dude, he's a fucking Fed. That is why. Unfortunately, dude, I saw Neil deGrasse Tyson talk at Madison when I was at school there, and there's something cop-ish about Neil deGrasse Tyson. You know what I mean? He's not like a curious boy. He's like a very, nope, this is what it is, okay? That. I don't know. There's something off. Something very copy about him. So I that's not shocking at all to me for him to be like, yeah, I'm not going to talk to you about this anymore. Just be like, that's exactly what I'm paid to stay away from talking about, because we can't let these peasants understand about the electromagnetism.
Wanted to talk to him was because of his show, The Cosmos, that he was doing after that incredible guy, Carl Sagan did. The very first episode he had was talking about Giordano Bruno. And he said that Giordano Bruno was looking for that grand unified field equation, and maybe one day somebody is going to do it. And when they do it, it's going to change the world. And I'm like, dude, I've done it. I've got it here. He attacked it with such vitriol.
Damn, dude. I've never heard anyone else talk shit about Neil deGrasse Tyson except for me. All right, I'm fucking with Terrence a little harder now. If he's gonna talk about the Fed, Neil deGrasse Tyson, dude, yeah, fuck yeah, let's go. That's funny. That's funny that, dude, he's kind of a cop. I'm serious. He's kind of like that. Dude, that's funny. Man, I didn't expect Terrence Howard to say that. That's fun. That's great. All right, let's go.
That I was like, oh, okay, maybe I need to walk away from this. Dr. David Tong from Cambridge.
Dude, what was what did Terrence almost do? He almost walked away from it. That's kind of what the feds depend on, right? The feds like to say that your idea is stupid, so you stop thinking about it. And then if you become a problem and you keep thinking about it, we're going to make you fall off of a building. Oh, you want to make... Oh, yeah, water engines. Yeah, water engines will work. Sure. Okay, you're still building the water engine? Okay, we're going to have a little boy come from the Rosicrucian camp, drive 700 miles, and shoot you and a whole bunch of other people, okay? That's because you wouldn't stop with your stupid little project. You are a hot girl with too many hobbies, like Corey, Dante, and Nicole.
Professor at Cambridge did a video on physics of the world, and he said it's all a lie. And he explained that there was these 16 fields, that everything that they had taught was this, and they gave the best understanding.
He doesn't like people smarter than him and thinks if he didn't think it, it's not worth his time. Thank fuck for you guys, dude. That is exactly what it is, right? Yeah, he's not a curious boy, too. My science teacher in middle school said she knew him and didn't like him either. Found him pretentious, and I remember, dude, that's awesome. Let's go. I remember her being really bothered by it because back then the field of well-regarded black scientists was much smaller than what we have now. He has so much dude, yeah, he has such an ego. So what he's saying doesn't align with his actions. Yeah, fuck yeah. Dude, this is great. It's all of them, dude. It's everyone. It's every single person that we know. Of course, Neil deGrasse is a fucking Fed. This is awesome. Dude, hell yeah, Terrence. Burn it down, buddy. Let's go.
An interpretation that they had of it. But it was all a lie because they didn't understand how it worked. Why? Because the Michelson-Morley experiment from 1887, where they were trying to define the ether or the earth in this etheric space. Problem was, they kept with Newtonian laws, so they thought the ether didn't move. They thought it was still. But there was another guy, Larmor, that did it in early 1800s, and he went off of Thomas Young, who influenced the Fresnel lens, influenced Fresnel, came up with the Fresnel lens. But he talked about a moving ether that had opposing vortices. So I didn't learn all of this stuff until I was getting ready to have conversations with people because I was looking, where has this work been done? But if you look...
And dude, that's like the Tesla shit, right? That's like what that's what those drone things are based on, is kind of these principles, like the same exact things, you know? They're like those circle drones, right? What am I? Veil of invisibility. Did they take my fucking... There it is. I was gonna say, dude, are we gonna have to stop looking at everything I love on stream because they're just gonna take it all away? Dude, yeah, right? I still have to read the last chapter of this, and I haven't wanted to because I saw what it talks about. But dude, look, these are the same principles in my opinion. Right? Look at all these like these vertices or whatever. This is what, see up here? This is what I think kind of the like electromagnetic shaping that he was talking about with those the like negative space of where the circles cross is kind of how you see where you get the points that then like the electromagnetism or whatever comes out of the top of it, and then it'll come into one of the other legs or something. So I think it does it like this. It's like there's something spinning in here. You know, Tesla had that shit that he called anti-gravity, where if you put mercury in this thing and somehow put electrical magnetism around it, that it can do anti-gravity. And dude, this looks just like look at that. It's the same shit. Same principles. So sick. Dude, I want to see one of these things, and I want to grab it and pull it down. What the frickin' frack? This is kind of what Terrence is making, too, with his little quadcopter thing or whatever. Here we go. This is what I was looking for. This is like the electromagnetism type, like, paths that I think Terrence Howard is talking about. It comes out of the tip of it and then finds, you know. I don't know how this stuff works, but it's freaking cool, I think. I want to learn more. And look at all of our pond ripples. We're on the right path, guys.
At Giordano Bruno's work, it looks a lot like my stuff. But he still had straight lines, and I think he put those straight lines in there to appease the church.
Oh, wow.
So that he wouldn't get killed.
Oh, my God.
And they still killed him. They hung him upside down in 1600, the Catholic Church. 1599, hung him upside down in a stake and set him on fire because he refused to recant that the God that they were talking about was not the true God of the universe. It was much larger than that. Their story went back 6,000 years. And there's other traditions and tribes around the world where their stories go back 200,000 years. And they made a lot more sense. So how have we limited ourselves? You take Noah having 3 sons, Shem, Japheth, and Ham, and one was black, one was Asian, and one was white. Does that make sense to you? But we subscribe to that. We ascribe to that dogma, and everybody's entitled to whatever opinion they want to have. I don't think that opinion is right.
We're going off in so many different directions.
But
I do want to talk
Tyson,
about this.
okay.
I do want to get to this because I would love to know what you believe happened. But the Neil deGrasse Tyson thing is so confusing to me. That he was critical of Tesla.
He was critical of Tesla. He was critical of Walter Russell, and he was critical of John Keeley.
This is not his.
Dude, he's such a Fed, right? Holy fuck, he's a Fed. Dude, Neil deGrasse Tyson, confirmed Fed. He's here to not talk about that shit. How embarrassing, dude. How disgusting.
Still a study, though, right?
No, he's astrophysicist. He's an astrophysicist, but Walter Russell.
Yeah, Joe instigating. Well, I just don't think that Joe I think that Joe is a useful idiot. I don't think that he realizes quite as much as he's being used. I think he's a dum-dum. He's like a curious person sometimes, but he won't see, like, I don't know. He just, like, I used to like him a lot more before all the, like, Ben Shapiro friendship and shit started, and he went super right-wing or whatever, but I feel like he's coming a little bit out of it, and there's times where he's, like, yeah, where he's just, like, he's not insufferable, but he needs to wake the fuck up, dude. Like, yeah, all these feds that have been using your show, you dummy,
So
to spread misinformation. This is a lot of your fault, Joe Rogan. It's because you don't know how to fucking look at interview guests and be like, I think they're here for a slightly different reason than to talk about shit that they care about. I think they're here to misinform.
talked about that the Earth. Walter Russell talked about the fact that the sun gave birth to the Earth, that it didn't coalesce from some field, and the proof of this. Do you guys know that the Earth is drifting away from the sun?
Yeah, slightly.
This is a mistake I made at the Oxford because they wouldn't allow me to bring my notes or anything. So I said the drift was 6 inches a year. It's 0.6 inches a year. Mm-hmm. So if you add up how long it would take the Earth to move, because in all of the planets in every solar system is drifting away from their primary at this same exact rate, like 1.5 centimeters. So this is a universal expansion that's happening with everything moving away. So them saying and the Webb telescope have proven that those galaxies couldn't have formed 13, 14 billion years ago. But if you would just add up linearly how long it would take the Earth to go from the sun to 93 million miles away, it's 9 trillion. Hold on.
Let's go.
I did all of the little calculations.
These are not little calculations.
Hold on, done.
I love that expression, but
little. Well, man, don't turn my phone off. Don't do that. Every time I get ready, well, because I know they're watching me right now, and they're mad at me.
Who's they?
The people that want that. Our entire world economy is based off of the politicians and the authorities that give the.
Okay, I fuck with Terrence Howard so much harder now. I I feel like the ego shit that I thought he had, I feel like maybe that was really me putting, like, Lucius Lyon on him. Because he's, like, a curious person. He's not, like, an egotistical person. He's trying to teach Joe, right? Like, he comes off as a teacher. Neil deGrasse Tyson, not a teacher. Definitely a Fed.
Politicians, their accreditation. And those authorities, those universities are all based, their entire curriculum is based off the Platonic solids. And our world economy is based off of 1 × 1 = 1.
You think they fuck with your phone?
Oh, I'm sure of it, because now I have to turn it off.
Do you ever drop your phone? You ever drop your phone?
I've dropped my phone a number of times, but.
You ever think that might be what's going on with your
phone? And then I buy another phone, and the same thing happens. I'm 5
you get
minutes.
burners?
Joe, they find your phone. Oh, you get like 2 TikTok posts, and then of them thinking that you're a different person, and then they find you and they delete your accounts and they say, okay, this phone is also a part of this person that we have to hide from everyone. Ask Dante. It doesn't matter. They can just remove any one of us that they don't like and just go away. You're ruining our world domination tour.
Used to, but then my wife would think I was cheating.
Yeah.
So I was like, no, I don't need that. I don't need that. I made that mistake way too early, in our relationship, and it cost me 8 years of toil and pain. But I ultimately made it back, and I'm so glad that, we produce 1,500 sperm per heartbeat. Women are born with 200 to 500,000 eggs in each of their ovaries. They don't get any more. The amount of buildup, the need to reproduce for males is great, and we're 98.7% identical to simians, to chimpanzees. What do they have? They have a harem by nature.
Mm-hmm.
There's only a 1.3% differentiation between us and them, and that 1.3% is supposed to dominate over the 98. I'm just glad I'm 55 now, and sperm production has slowed down.
You can always get a phone that you don't use as anything other than contact a couple people.
Yeah, but...
Dude, Joe, shut up.
So the number of years that it will take for the Earth to move 1 mile is 105,600 years. So that in order for the Earth to reach where we are at 93 million miles, it would take 9,820,800,000,000 years for the Earth to get here. Likewise, Mars, at 147 million miles away from the sun, it would take 15,780,000,000,000.
Yeah, I know. That's what I mean. Like, Joe being like... You have Elon Musk on your show all the time. He's like a fucking... He's like a little fucking dumb kid. Like an evil little kid with power. And you don't think... And you're pretending like these assholes wouldn't, like... stop, like, follow you and, like, harass you and shit if you're fucking with their money. Dude, they killed Aaron Salter Jr. for making up a water engine. They killed him and a whole bunch of other people that were just around him. Like, yeah, I know. They try and paint me crazy. Yeah, I'm fucking crazy. Okay, whatever. That's fine. Don't give a shit. But it's easy to be like, you're crazy. It's hard to be like, hey, everything's fucked up and I want to do something about it. It's the easy way out to be like, you're weird. Okay, I'm sure I might be weird, but at least I'm not a pussy and a coward like you.
480 million years for Mars to get where it was. So at a given point, Mars was here in the Goldilocks zone. And now Venus...
Yeah, his daddy literally benefits from the slave emerald mine his father ran. But yeah, totes my goats, not a grifter. I wonder what happened with all those Teslas he promised everyone. What, it's been like 7 years now? Yeah, dude, the Cybertruck is going great, right? The Roadster, right? The Tesla Roadster, is that what you're talking about? That's definitely coming soon. Sometime. Yeah, eventually. For sure. Elon's got one intern working on it, and, really Tesla is all just to make electric cars shit and ruin everything. Controlled opposition, false opposition, like always.
Is going to inherit the Goldilocks zone next. The sun will give... Mercury is under a higher pressure because they're still under the mistake thinking that there's a void in space. So they forget that Mercury is under the highest pressure possible. So it can't expand. It's like hydrogen. It's like those octaves before hydrogen. So the atmosphere, the iron isn't able to release any oxygen and the oxides. But when you get to 67 million miles away from the sun, the pressure is a little less, but it's still so much higher than the pressure on Earth. It's like going deep into the very belly of the Earth. That pressure is so very high. And so now the clouds, there's a great deal of sulfur, there's a great deal of ammonia and all of those things in it. But once Earth moves to where Mars is, Venus is going to slowly move and will be right here. In maybe 5 or 6 trillion years, Venus will be right here. And humanoids will appear again and unwind the same way. And that asteroid belt that we have right now between Mars and Jupiter, that used to be a planet. And I believe that they had humanoids that developed on there, the same way that everything, that's the periodic table. They call it the periodic table because these things happen according to periodicity. They happen under regular events. You change the motion and pressure conditions.
You
the
can't believe
crystallation.
you can't believe I'm still on. I'm shocked I got stuck at work late even. Hell yeah, Canna Queen. Today was a big test, dog. Today was a big test to see how if we could do like, you know, big chunk. And baby, we're about to hit 7 hours and 53 minutes right now. We did. I've never gone over 6.5 hours. So it's just a little test, you know. We're probably gonna wrap up soon here. I gotta get some supplies, you know, before my supply guy disappears.
Changes. We call it a different element, but it's the same substance.
Dude, I would love to do this all the time. Like, this has been the fastest 8 hours ever. This was great. I have had a lot of fun. I like doing this show a lot.
Like my hand is one substance, but if I do it like this and do it like this and do it like this, it looks like a whole different thing. And they can call it a different element, but it's the same element under different motion and pressure conditions. I believe that Sirius used to be a planet when it was here, and the humanoids on there didn't recognize that we don't have a solid core. Everything expands as a sphere, and no sphere in our universe, no bubble has a solid core. We're perceiving it as a solid core, but there's not a solid core there. There's just a bubble. And at CERN, that Hadron Collider, that particle accelerator, I believe they did the same thing, and they popped their planet. And it became that asteroid belt.
Really?
Just take it, if you add up all of the weight of the mass of those of the asteroids in the asteroid belt, it will probably equal the same mass as that of Mars.
I thought the concept of the asteroid belt was, well, first of all, there's the concept of Earth 1 and Earth 2, right? So
Yeah.
Earth 1 was a planet that was hit by a planet, and that's how our moon was established.
When have we seen that happen in nature?
Well, we haven't seen it yet, right? But these things take a long-ass time, and we don't have a whole lot of ability to see things. Our ability to see things, even with the James Webb telescope, is fairly limited, right? Which is one of the reasons why they're able to find these galaxies that should not have been able to be formed.
The James Webb sun mirror laser beam thing? the sun focusing energy weapon James Webb telescope that they're going to use to melt entire cities? The thing masking as a telescope that is actually a death ray? Probably.
A short period of time, to the extent that they have, which confuses them if they're looking at this 13.7 billion year old universe. These things should be much older,
right,
in order to be this size, in order to be in the position where they're at. So you believe that the sun is the origin of these planets?
Of
Yeah,
all
it
the
was.
planets.
It was also nice that it was rainy all day today too. Yeah, it was great. It's a good stream. I've
Every
had so
solar,
much fun.
every
solar
star
system
within its solar system gives birth to all of these other planets. This is what Walter Russell had talked about. This is what Neil deGrasse, and they attacked him for, because he talked about the drift, this natural drift, and that didn't make more sense, and they didn't have the idea of dark matter and dark.
So, Cat Dad, if Tesla was talking about the mercury being used to float when under magnetic waves and oscillation, can't that same principle be applied to the molten iron and iron within our core if they are purposefully planting antennas in places like Antarctica to produce their own magnetic waves to fuck with the core, even if minimally causing disruptions within the sea? Yeah, but I bet they probably fucking could, huh? Dude, I've been thinking that too, that they're like doing something to the core of the earth. Dude, fuck these guys. What are they doing? Imagine being this much of a piece of shit that you're like, yeah. No, we're gonna fucking rip the molten core of the earth in half. We're gonna split the fucker in half. Like, whatever. You guys want to kill your families too? Okay. Good luck. Whatever. At least I know that there is no life and there's no death and there's no beginning, there's no end. Life is eternal, boys. And we are all one. So if you want to rip us all apart, do it. But we're gonna figure it out in the end. It doesn't matter. I don't care. Dude, rip the earth in half. See how much any of us cares. What are we gonna do about it? I hope Dunkirk, honestly. That's what we need to do. It's how I can see them causing our religious apocalypse. They need to gain total control over society and the populace again. Yeah, dude. Hell yeah. The Nitwitches are still going. Lot of loddles. Let's go. I'm proud of us. Look, dudes, we're about to hit 8 hours. We can do it. We can do anything if we put our freaking minds to it, guys. I can't believe, dude, when I first started streaming, I was like, I don't know what I can talk for 1 hour. I don't think I can talk for 1 hour. I don't think I can entertain anyone for 1 hour. We're here. We got to 8 hours. That's awesome. I'm proud of us. And it, dude, not only is it not scary anymore, it's like one of my favorite things. It was so scary. Now I love it. Now it's like, I don't know. I feel like everything else slips away because I'm like, I'm not looking at my phone. You know, it's just like us and the now. Not worried about anything else. Kind of love it.
Energy there.
Right.
They didn't even come up with that.
I'm glad you're having fun too. I never would have thought that anyone would want to hear what we have to say or talk about. So it's very exciting that people do like talking about this stuff. Because I think it's cool. This is like what figuring this shit out is what life is about, right? I think. Like, I don't know. I like figuring out the mysteries, talking about them, bouncing ideas off each other. It's so fun. And, dude, it shows us how similar we all are and how, like, I don't know. It's just cool to, like, bounce all the ideas out. We're all, like, forming our opinions together and, like, you know, Feo's like, here's what I think. And I'm like, here's what I think. And everyone is just sharing what they feel. And I feel like we're coming to a common consensus in between it, you know? It's fucking sick. I'm proud of us. I'm glad we're doing the work. I love doing the work with y'all. It's great.
And now we understand 4% of the universe is visible,
Right.
and 75% of it, 70% of it is dark energy, and 20-something% of it is dark matter, unperceivable things. And they say that's because they needed to figure out how would they get the spin and create and have the galaxies.
Why do they
the
hold
spiral
together?
galaxies.
Right.
Well, what my team did, Chris Seeley, who's my he's he's my Scotty. We use the same simulator that they use at Princeton. And we took linchpins, and we haven't even introduced linchpins yet, but it'll be a great introduction for it. We took linchpins, this configuration of where 6 pentagons meet. And we put them in particular order. There's a link for that right inside of the thing that James Pellegrini sent over to you, if you'll pull that up. And we rebuilt the planet Saturn without gravity. And it has the rings with no animation. It has the rings and the hexagon that's observed at the very top of it, without dark matter, without dark energy, without gravity, showing that it's an outward force pushing.
There is, yeah, so there, I feel like I've like de-stressed myself a little bit and you know what's helped is I watch back a lot of what we do because I want to see, dude, what the fuck? Get the fuck out of here, Nicole. Nicole just gifted 5 tier 1 subaronis. Bro, did she just put us above 50? God damn you, Nicole. Let's go. We love Cat Dad. You're the best, dude. Stop. This is awesome. Wait, what a gal. What a great friend. 53 Subaruskis? Come on, dude. Stop. That's so awesome.
Down that creates the planet. If you can pull that up, and he explains it out, it's like 3 minutes long.
Thank you, dudes. I appreciate all of you guys. This is awesome.
And where does the matter come from?
He used, well, the matter, remember, that's condensation. If you were to picture, before we watch it, before we watch it, let me explain something. If you were to picture the waves at the ocean, the darker the waves, the deeper the water. You can't see a distinguishing fact between them until they crash into each other. That splatter, that little foam that comes out, it lasts for a couple seconds, and then it settles back on there, and it's just the balance between this force and this force. That's the physical universe. Those few seconds that it takes that matter, that more dense water, and the foam to recoalesce and get balanced again with the surrounding environment. That's the entire time that our universe, or all these universes, have worked together. But if you play this is at the very beginning of my book. That's why I went on that at the Emmys, and I was like, look, I've got something else to do. I've been able to rebuild Saturn without gravity, with no animation, and then they clowned it.
Of course they did. Well, this is not something that you could say in a soundbite, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to you. This is
Well, yeah, and this is true too, dude. Like I thought that so many people would be like, "This is crazy, Corey. I can't believe my friend Corey stumbled onto this brilliant thing." It's my friend Corey though, so I'm gonna actually believe him for a second, because he's been a good friend of mine and he hasn't lied to me thus far. But then you tell people and they're like, that's gonna involve me changing the way I think, and I'd rather think that Corey is a dummy and bad friend and a liar. Poor Terrence. Going up to Neil deGrasse Tyson. I bet he was like shocked when he was like, yeah, I can't talk to you about this because that's the truth and I'm an agent of lies. But hey, we all have to go through it, right? We all got to figure that out. That's the only way we're going to get through this, is if we all figure out that they're all liars and they've been hiding shit from us. Neil deGrasse Tyson wants humanity to be enslaved to whoever Peter Thiel is selling us out to. That's weird. That's weird to me.
not something like your explanation of these things and your description of the very nature of reality itself is not something that should be.
Dude, all of our friends are gonna owe us so many apologies when Peter Thiel fucking literally comes out as like the Das Führer Übermenschen, yeah, and he's like, I'm gonna vaporize all of New York, and make sure that all of our friends better apologize to us profusely before they vaporize us, okay? Because everyone owes us a lot of apologies for all the shit that they've been saying. all the not believing that people have been doing to us. As if we're liars. As if we're the liars. Come on. Does it look like we're the liars? I don't think so. I see a balaclava and I'm like, that's a truth teller.
Taken lightly.
No.
It's something that, like,
thank you for saying that.
It needs to be laid out, and it needs to be slowly examined. Because you've obviously spent a lot of time working on this. This thing here. So play this, Jamie.
Play it. And this is us.
What, Jamie?
Just to clarify what I'm going to play.
Yeah, and turn it up.
Hold on.
My husband thinks I'm crazy. Oh well, he chose this life. Amen, sister. Dude, that's what I'm saying. Like, hey, sorry. You said through thick and thin, right? Through the good times and the bad. And this is the goodest of the times, so better buckle in. Nightmare blunt rotation. Dude, that would be the most... Roger, Peter, and Austin, oh, man. There can't be a single minute of fun between the three of them. They're all just each trying to out-diabolical each other, but they're all super freaking weird, too, socially weird. They're such weirdos. They're like, yeah, I think that we should get rid of all the gays, right, Uncle Peter? And Uncle Peter's like, yeah, I hate gays, too. And then Roger's like, aren't you two gay? I've only ever heard stories about both of you being gay. Why do you hate gay people so much? And they're like, duh, cousin Roger. It's do as I say, not as I do. It's fine for us to be gay, but it's not really gay because we're gods and we can do whatever we want. But no one else can do anything. No one else has free will. Just me and Austin and Roger. The S traffickers of the world. The octopussies. Dude, that's a great album cover. Those 3 heads and then a big old octopus and it just says octopussies on it. And then you have the throwback and in the background it's just like a 50% opacity George H.W. Bush, like really big behind all of them. Do you think Peter Thiel has ever had fun ever in his life? Like, do you think he's ever gone go-karting or something and been like, wow, that was really exciting? I don't think he has. Dude, that's what I'm going to do. I'm challenging Peter to a duel, and I'm going to show up with my katana, and then I'm going to say, before I finish this, I think we should go go-karting. And he'll be like, I've never been go-karting. Yeah, well, whatever. And I take him, and his little fucking heart, like the Grinch, grows like 600 times bigger. And he's like, whoa, I think I've been doing all this wrong. I think life is about all of the go-karts and the friends you make along the way. And I'll be like, yeah, dummy. That's what I've been trying to say. Stop sending helicopters to my house, please. And then that's it. I don't have to katana him. But I fucking will if he doesn't like the go-karts. I'll do it right on the go-kart. I'm like, okay, Peter, what did you think? Was it fun? He's like, shink. Done. I gave him a chance. I can sleep easy. Gave him a chance to change. I showed him the power of go-karts. He still doesn't like it being fun. So he's done. Toast. Bye.
Yeah,
Two different videos. One's long, one's short.
No, this is going to be the short one.
Oh, dude, those
just
octopussies. That's such a... Dude, that looks great. I'm going to screenshot that.
Stuff too, because all
Okay.
these VIT files freaked it out.
Oh, yeah.
Government, man.
Has anyone been doing the gateway tapes? Because I plan on using Conqueror's Hockey on Elon and Peter. Wait, what's Conqueror's Hockey? Is that a part of the tapes that I haven't gotten to yet? But yeah, dudes, everyone, if you need to, if you have a problem finding the playlists on YouTube, since I think they took one down because of us. But don't worry, because I know a guy. I know a guy. Just let me know, and I'll let the guy know, and he'll hook you up. But... Oh, it's a One Piece reference. I've only gotten through 3 episodes so far, but I'm still going. I'm gonna watch it. And it's only because Feo fucking told me to watch Dark Matter. I was watching One Piece. So, it's Feo's fault. But Dark Matter's great. I'm pumped to see it. And I hope that they bring back that one show that was with Adam Scott. That was really good. Severance. That was a great show. And I fear that it's never coming back. But the ending of that was incredible. I think it's awesome. And it's very, like... It feels like something that they would do to us now. Splitting half of our brain and forcing that part of your brain to stay at work. And so you go in an elevator, and by the time you get down to your sub-basement, office with no windows, it switches to your other side of the brain. And so every day, that person, the office person, is only alive when the person goes to work. So they have no rest, no like doing anything else but work. It's like literally making half of your body be your own slave. And it's awful. But it's something these kooks would think up now, for sure. Instantly, dude. But yeah, wait, someone said that there's a crystal in the fucking pineal gland in our heads? Dude, all this shit might be super for real. This is cool. It's like literally isn't like part of a ham radio. Do you have to have like a quartz thing, or is that a watch that I'm thinking of? Like Because people say crystals are alive, right? I mean, everything's alive. Everything's conscious, I guess. But like, I feel like, I don't know. I really feel like this weird, like, that we are like, our brains are like transmitters / receivers of this like universal field or whatever, you know, the energy, the consciousness, and that we're not, right? Like, that's the theory, is that we're not like thinking in our heads. The universe is thinking and we are tapping into it. Is that that's what it is, right? Yes, and it's piezoelectric, so it generates light when placed under pressure or vibration. Look up the amygdala, fascinating stuff. Bloodborne covers it too. But yeah, a little gland inside your mind that activates with meditation and focus. That what the Buddhist monks do when they go into solitude, just learning how to be one with the universe. Dude, that's cool. So yeah, they're just like they're forming a crystal in their head. Dude, have you ever heard about the monks that do like this thing where they get buried in a hole and they just eat tree sap until they turn into a stone? For like weeks? Buddhist monks are capable of incredible things. Their minds are powerful. Yeah. I forget what it's called, but yeah, they like get put in a deep hole and they just sit there and meditate and meditate and meditate and then eat tree sap until they turn into a stone.